Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. Of course, I'm your host, Rashid, and you're now tuned into the most influential, most educational, most empowering platform, bar none, anywhere on YouTube or social media. This is your platform for empowerment. This is the Red Pill Diaries. Thank you all for giving me another hour of your day and another day of your time. We know that time is I think the most valuable commodity that anybody could have, because once it's used up, you never get it back, right? So I'm glad that you chose to spend a little bit of your time with me, and we hope make it worth your while. Now, there's a few things I want to get to, but if you hear my voice becoming more and more raspy and you hear me losing my voice, I lost my voice twice yesterday. And I gargled all. I was doing the gargling. I was gargling night and morning to try to get it back so that I can continue to keep my word with you and try to do this live stream. So I'm here. I'm doing my part. Now you guys do your part. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Now let's get it. I want to talk about a few things. So I was watching a few of the larger platforms. And ironically, as we talked about this in the last few shows, some of them were mentioning some of the stuff that we talked about. I guess you guys put pressure on them. I guess you guys did, because now they're starting, even as they're hesitant to fully acknowledge the true beginning of the Gaza offensive and the true reason for the Gaza offensive in occupied Palestine. At least they're starting to allude to the true reason and talking about, hey, nobody's mentioning this, or nobody's talking about it started because Israel did not live up to its UN resolutions. Israel did not do this. You know, we did 2 or 3 shows where we put the UN resolution up, and we were telling people that nobody was talking about this. And all of a sudden, the gigantic news, the ones that 100, 200, 300, 400,000 subscribers are just magically talking about this now. It came out of nowhere, and it's on their mind that, hey, nobody was talking about that if Israel would have implemented UN resolution after UN resolution, we may not have been at this point right here, right? And I notice how some of them, they painstakingly go out of their way to say what Hamas did. And I've seen heinous, real bad pictures of them doing heinous acts against Israeli civilians. None of them mention that on a daily basis, that's what Israel is doing and was doing to Palestine and the Palestinians. That gets, again, I don't think some of them are trying to do that. I believe the Western exceptionalism, the Israeli exceptionalism, the U.S. exceptionalism, the U.K. exceptionalism, and the Western imperialism has seeped into their brain, and it is blocking that area of their brain where they can process it and see it from another angle. I don't think some of them are trying. I think they're so ingrained into the perception of what has been put out before everybody that they can't help but to look at it from the lens, and they tread on around eggshells when they talk about the heinous crimes that are committed by the West, the heinous crimes that are being committed on a daily basis by Israel. How about the heinous crime of dropping a bomb on an apartment complex? And then what you do to justify that, and we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to cause mass pain, mass suffering, so that the people can go up against Hamas. We know anybody with common sense understands what you're doing. But you say you're targeting terrorists. You never present any facts whatsoever. See, here's the thing. When the Western nations do a thing, they hardly ever present tangible proof or facts. They just want you to go on their word because, hey, I'm America. Hey, I'm the UK. Hey, I'm Germany. I'm France. I'm Israel. So believe me when I say I'm targeting terrorist organizations and terrorist infrastructure. And then weeks and months and years later, after the writings appear and investigation is done, they say, oh, those were civilians that were hit. And nothing is done. And then it is swiped and washed away in the wind. But during the conflicts, during the conflagration, during the military operations, they are always claiming to hit terrorists and militants, right? Right? It is absolutely crazy. And what's on top of that is this. They don't have the political, the geopolitical, or the moral capital to be saying things like that and people accept it. They have a track record of always lying. Listen, when you go to court, here's the thing. Say, for instance, you go to court. The judge looks at, when you come in there, the judge is looking down. I've seen this multiple times on TV. The judge is looking down. He's reading the bio that they put before him, so he can get an understanding of your character through the years and what you've been involved in through the years. And as you're talking, he's asking you questions, and then he's looking down, reading your bio. So he's weighing you. And when he looks up at you, he pretty much has made his decision, right? Because he weighed your previous actions. They don't let your previous actions go away. If you've killed before, guess what they do? They weigh you against that. If you've raped before, what do? They weigh that against you. If you've maimed or robbed or stolen before, they keep records of that so that they can build up a proper perspective of your character and who you are. So if we look at the track record, the history of these nations that are claiming to be for justice and peace, just look at the track record. America has been at war almost every year of her existence. So how in the hell can we take her word on anything pertaining to peace and war? The UK the same. How in the hell can we take her word for anything concerning peace and war? And we know that Israel is just a microcosm of America and the UK. So how can we take that word? How was Israel founded? I ask you that. How was Israel founded? And I'm going to go ahead and chat in a minute. Let me see. I advise you to Google this. I forget the show that it was on, but it was Scott Ritter. I believe it was yesterday or the day before. And Scott Ritter did such a magnificent job of going through the history, the recent history of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. He even goes so far because he was stationed in Israel, and he worked with the Israeli intelligence service and all of this stuff. Hold on one second, let me think of it. And I usually don't promote too many shows on here, especially people that'll get you banned off the internet for using content of theirs. But I'm going to say this for all of you all. Go look at, I think it's Through the Eyes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's the show. And it was yesterday or day before yesterday, Scott Ritter did one of the best jobs in the first 10 or 15 minutes of that interview. I think the guy from the Smoothie X guy was on there. It was a roundtable discussion. And the first 10, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, Scott Ritter was talking, and he did the best explanation out of any of the Western guys I've heard on the true reason and the true events that led up to the offensive actions by Hamas and the Palestinians. Go look at that. I really wish you guys would. Now, I see other people now are talking about that, but it wasn't fashionable to do it prior to 4 days ago when I started going into the history and showing you the UN resolutions and what was put upon the Israelis to do and what was put upon the backs of the Palestinians to do in order for there to be a negotiated settlement and peace to follow. Now, it's amazing that all of these big channels are talking about, well, there are laws that needs to be instituted, like UN resolutions, UN mandate. Well, why didn't you say that prior to? We've been telling you that since the outbreak of hostilities. And now people are acting like nobody is saying this. We've said it over and over again. Go look at all of the previous shows of this week. All right? But of course, as I told you, your favorite channels we are your favorite channels. They won't give us any shine, but it's all good. We'll continue to keep you abreast on what's going on. But let's see. Let's go into the chat real quick because we got to get some things talked about. Everybody, give me a second. Let me go in the chat. I have a few windows open. Here we are, right here. Give me a second, right here. Boom. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying my best to open up these things. Here we are. All right, that's good right there. Let's open up this. Okay, we're in the chat. Smoothie X, yeah. Smoothie X, Maddie. Let me scroll back up. Dang, this thing is moving fast. Jeez. Let's go. So it says salute to everybody. Salute. Sound is good. Pick is good. Thank you. I'm Astro. All right, cool. Ascended Awakening. Nice to have you back. Let's see. Maybe, let me see if anything is in there for me at this moment. I see a lot of chat in between each one of you. Yeah, it was Scott Ritter. Flying Crocodile said, yeah, it was Scott Ritter. Yeah. So you guys know what I'm talking about then. He did one of the most in-depth breakdowns of the matter outside of this show, because we even go further. But he tells about how after agreeing with the Palestinians, and after the Palestinians took them in, even against the wishes, their best wishes, they took them in, fed them, and gave them water, and then they were rounded up later and shot, and then thrown in ditches. Go look at this stuff. It's real. And remember that he studied the history on this. So I want you guys to understand this. Let's see. Yeah, you can put the link. Anything with Scott Ritter in it, you can put the link in there. All right, I will allow that. You can put the link in there. We're not trying to block anybody. We want as much information as possible in the chat so that everybody and anybody can get a better understanding and a better grasp on what is actually taking place geopolitically, economically, and politically in America and around the world. Okay, but also I want to say this again. On Rumble, hit your like button. You can comment also on YouTube. Hit the like button on both the Red Pill Diaries and the Red Pill Journals. Hit the like button. On Odyssey, hit the like button, and on Locals, you know what to do. So I'm glad you're with us today. So let's get into this real quick, okay? Do you notice that Russia is becoming more outspoken about the situation at hand? And Russia is not kowtowing as much as it once did to Israel in the West, and even what is it? I believe it was Lavrov. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick for you guys. Let me see if I can pull it up while I'm talking to you all. I like to prove what I'm saying, so if it's still up here, I'm going to pull it up for you guys. Let's see, Russia. I believe it was Lavrov who said it. Before I tell you what he said, let me see if I can pull it up. These articles go so fast that sometimes when you look for something, it's gone. Let me go to Russia Today real quick. Hold on one second. Russia. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Putin's comments on, let's see, Russia. But it was about the conflict, and it's very important. They moved this so quickly. I thought I had it on there just so I can bring it to you. Putin says that Israel has a right to self-defense, right? But then he goes in and he tells you what exactly is going on. And listen to me good. For those of you who are listening, Israel does have a right to self-defense, but only in the confines of her own territory. Remember, there is no dispute that there is a dispute. Let me say that again. There is no dispute that there is a dispute on the inhabitants of that area. That's why you have multiple resolutions on it. It was Palestine prior to 1947, 1948. So the people who came there came from Europe, came from Russia, and came from the area of Ukraine and Germany area. You know, Ukraine in that area was the kingdom of Khazars and stuff, that area over there. Those people migrated through Germany to Palestine. And in 47, they instigated a takeover of Palestine. Now, I don't care how long you occupy my land, that doesn't mean it's yours. And to give you an example on this, let's do it like this. Mehdi, you have 30 acres of land. You have a 10,000 square foot home. And I come through the window and I force you and your family to leave, and you are only able to reside on an acre of that land. And I'm occupying the rest of that land and your house. Will that ever become my land? In your eyes, Mehdi, put it in the chat. In your eyes and in your family's eyes, even if the neighbors down the street start believing that that's my land, and even if the people around the block believe that that's my land, in your eyes, Mehdi, that'll never be my land, will it? That's your land, right? So there's a dispute there, and people are failing to look at this with open eyes, with unbiasedness, because they have an agenda, and because of, I would say, fanaticism. They often call Hamas and Hezbollah Islamic fanatics, right? And Islamists. This is what they call them. That is, first of all, to denigrate and down Islam, first of all. Second of all, is to put a negative connotation to Islam and Muslims. That's what the West likes to do. Now, let us look at this. What is more fanatical? Hezbollah and Hamas and other people defending the principles of sovereignty, because that's what that is. America is over in Ukraine, thousands of miles away, screaming about Ukraine's territorial integrity and its sovereignty, and yet it allowed strangers from Europe to come and take over Palestine. And then proclaim, and then listen, what they use this reverse psychology every time. Israel has a right to exist. And in words, they're saying that Palestine does not. Now, Palestine was a recognized state prior to 1947. And now Palestine is not a recognized state. And we're in 2023 going into 2024. But the state that took Palestine in 1947-48 has the right to exist, but the original state of Palestine has no right to exist, no right to defend itself, no right to reclaim what was taken to this. And any move to reclaim or to take back some of what was taken from it is aggressiveness or terrorism or act of terror. So, man, come on, we got to get over this line. And I'm going to tell you why that line of thinking is prevalent in the West. It's because they're Christian fanatics. People don't understand that. And everybody tiptoes around this. You know, I talk about Muslims. You know I do. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But I'm going to say something that's going to hurt some feelings right now. The reason that they have this mentality, look at the little boy lover, what's his name? Lindsey Graham. Look at him. He is talking about bombing Iran. Back to the Stone Age and doing this to Hamas and doing this to the Palestinians and doing this to Hezbollah. Why? Why would he even say something? Hamas didn't attack America. Why? It's because he has a religious connection to this. And he's fanatical about it. They believe that the Jews are the chosen people. They believe that no matter what the Jews do, it's justified because they have a warped interpretation of the Bible. They have a warped interpretation of Christianity and their religion. And they will justify anything that the Khazaris do because they believe that this in itself justifies their version of Christianity, their version of Judaism. These are fanatics. And you come president after president, administration after administration. And then they'll point the finger and say, Hamas is Islamic terrorists and fanatic because they are trying to bring in the Mahdi. And yet, over here, they're talking about defending Israel at the hurt and detriment to Palestine because they believe that's going to usher in the coming of Jesus. But that's not fanatical. That's not fanatical to them. That's not Christian terrorism. That's not Christian fundamentalism to them. Do you understand? The warped sense of entitlement is ethically, morally, and religiously apprehensible. And when you look at it with an open mind and an open view, you know I'm not lying to you all. You know I'm not lying to you all. I'm not demonizing Christianity. I'm not demonizing people who follow Christ, true Christians. I'm talking about these fanatics. That's what I'm talking about. I'm mentioning something that nobody else has the cojones to talk about because they have a vested interest in keeping the status quo on certain issues because it's financially beneficial to them and it also brings to them connections. Man, I don't care about that. I'm gonna tell it like it is, okay? And if the shoe was on the other foot, because down the line in some of the shows, I'm gonna irritate some Arabs too. I want to do it. You better believe that, because I want to talk to them about Tunisia and the racist policies that they instituted in Tunisia. I'll talk about that. And how the Tunisian president talked about how they need to stop the flow of black people in Tunisia because this is a concerted effort to change the demographics. You change the demographics. Tunisia is in Africa. Tunisia is in Africa. You change the demographics, not the original inhabitants that are coming back there. You're screaming, the Arabs, you're screaming about Palestine, and yet nobody says anything about Morocco or Tunisia. See, I call an ace and a spade a spade. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can be mad all you want to. So let's see. I'm sorry if I'm missing your words. I'm trying to get them real quick. Hold on one second in the chat. I see it's 44 comments that I missed. I'm sorry. Let's scroll down real quickly. Yeah, Andre Martyanov is I can't pronounce his name. He's Russian though, but he's an American now, and he has a platform called Smoothie X12 or Smoothie 12X, something like that. He was one of the people on the panel that I'm talking about with Scott Ritter. Okay. Let's see. The IDF says the IDF will move on northern Gaza because if they go for the south of Gaza, they leave open possible attacks from the Golan Heights area. Israel needs to learn hold on one second. YouTube is blocking part of your, hold on, let me look at it from StreamYard because I can't see your whole, man, they're tripping right now. Let me see. All right, here we are. It says the IDF, let me put it on the screen for people to read. The IDF will move on northern Gaza because if they go for the south of Gaza, they leave open possible attacks from the Golan Heights area. Israel needs to learn within the region on its own. Well, guess what? It's not on its own. You know how the United States says we will not intervene? The United States has already intervened. Do you know that the United States, we've read articles in recent days saying the United States has deployed a second aircraft carrier group to close to occupied Palestine. What you didn't know is that the UK is also deploying troops there too. What do I tell you? Whenever one does it, the other has to do it, because these two are the two daughters of Babylon, and they're fighting for their survival. Their rule is under duress and under stress. And so they're seeing a subject area, because that's what that area was, subjected to the West, under collapse. And if it collapses out of their power, guess what happens? They feel that this will be a domino effect in Latin America, the Caribbeans, all across Africa, then West Asia, then boom, 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 all the way to Asia. They see this, so they're fighting like hell to try to keep everything under their thumb and under their grips, and they're willing to try to push towards all-out war. Now, let me tell you something. I was told that the United States already has troops in Ukraine. I mean, not in Ukraine, but in Palestine. They are already have a war center in Palestine, or occupied Palestine, called Israel. And they have officers there that are helping the IDF coordinate. They are giving them real-time intelligence and satellite imagery right now. So what more do you have to do to be a participant of the conflict? You just heard them say that they're going to give them more weapons, which they just did. You just heard them say they were going to transfer more weapons and more money and anything that Israel needs, but they're not choosing sides. And then we just get information on the back tip that they have an operational war room in Palestine where they're feeding real-time intelligence and satellite imagery to the IDF. How much more can you be involved? And let me ask you this. What if Russia set up an operational room in Gaza and then in the West Bank? Do you think that would be acceptable to Israel? Do you think that would be acceptable to America? Do you think that would be acceptable to the UK? Wouldn't they say that this infringes upon the territorial integrity of Palestine and Israel? Wouldn't you think that they would say that this would be a major escalation towards war and this would be unacceptable? Well, why does America and the UK believe that they can do it without any consequences? Exceptionalism, racism, fascism. That's why. Do as I say, not as I do. See, they have ruled the world so fully as a team that they cannot fathom the idea of a rising China or a resurgent Russia or a rising powerful Iran or anybody that is not under their thumb. This is what we're looking at. Let's go to what did Betty say? BRICS is offering a peace plan. The U.S. would never allow it to happen peacefully because it will instantly lose all credibility. Well, Mehdi, guess what the peace plan that the BRICS are offering? Let me put your comment up on the screen real quick. Guess what peace plan that the BRICS are offering? And this is what I was getting to on the show. Let me see if I can pull this up, because this goes right along what I was just telling you. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll pull it up right after the show goes off too. This it makes me mad. Give me 1 second. Hopefully we can put it up. Bam! Man, I'm good. I can research real quick. So I'm gonna put this on the screen for you, okay? I'm gonna put this. Guess what peace plan that the BRICS are now offering? Right? I'm getting ready to put it on the screen for you. Boop, 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 boop. Here we are. It should be popping up in a matter of seconds on the screen. It's right up there. What did Lavrov say? Time to implement UN decisions on Palestine. Who is the person that y'all have been hearing from the start to the finish saying that? Pat myself on the back, right? Haven't I been telling you guys that? Haven't I pulled up the resolutions, and we've talked so much over the resolutions that were not implemented and how this led to this where we are right now? And why is it that now major channels are saying the same thing that I was saying, and even the Russian foreign minister is acknowledging what I was saying? Huh? I'm just asking. Hold on one second, everybody. Let me take this real quick. Hold on one second. Yes? Oh, no, I'm live on the air. All right, boy. That was my daughter at work. Anyway, I had to take it live on the air, though, because I didn't know if it was the emergency or not. So you guys don't fault me. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. Now, why is it? Let's read a little bit of it, because I only read the title. I never read the article. Okay, let's see. Excuse me. And somebody asked me, excuse me, why do I cough when I'm doing a show? Let me, and I'll tell you. And I think it was an honest answer. I don't think they were trolling or anything like that. Is that when that that thing was let loose on everybody in 2019 and 2020? When I got it, it did something to my voice, and it made it scratchy and raspy. And I had a strong, deep voice, and it did something. And I never fully recovered. And sometimes when I'm talking, I have to cough a little bit, and I have to drink water behind it. So I just wanted to let you know that I didn't ignore your comment when you asked that. That's a legitimate question. Okay. So let's and I didn't take offense to it either. So let's read this article together, okay? Time to implement UN decisions on Palestine. Lavrov. We know Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov, is the foreign minister of the Russian Federation. And the article says, when the current Israel-Palestine hostilities end, progress should be made towards a two-state solution, the Russian foreign minister has said. Now, stop right there. Do you think that that's viable? Would you chop up your house after you've paid blood, sweat, and tears for your house and let a stranger move in, especially one that has victimized and brutalized you? Do you think that is a viable option? I'm asking. I'm asking these things out here because nobody else is. Listen, you can ask these questions. Let's go a little further. Okay? It says the escalation of violence in the Middle East should provide an impetus for implementing a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said. Speaking to journalists on Thursday, the top diplomat reiterated a call for a swift resolution of the crisis. After that, hopefully, everyone would take responsibility for implementing the decisions of the UN Security Council and the creation of a Palestinian state under the principles that the UN has approved. Now, let me go back. You hear what he says right here? I want to read that quote again because there's something to this quote right here that just popped out to me. He says, speaking to journalists on Thursday, the top diplomat reiterated a call for a swift resolution of the crisis. After that, hopefully, everyone would take responsibility for implementing the decision of the UN Security Council on the creation of a Palestinian state under the principles that the UN has approved. Now, so that means there's at this moment, there is no recognized Palestinian state. That's according to his word. Because if there was a fully recognized Palestinian state, there would be no need for him to say, after that, hopefully everyone will take the responsibility for implementing the decisions of the UN Security Council on the creation. All right, let's go to the dictionary real quick. All right. According to the dictionary, the word creation is a noun. It means the action or process of bringing something into existence. A design, a formation, forming, modeling, putting together, setting up. Now, we have an understanding of what creation means. So he's advocating the creation of a Palestinian state. Let's get that right. So if he's advocating for the creation of a Palestinian state, that means that the Palestinian state was destroyed by the occupier. Because prior to the occupiers setting up their state, there was a Palestinian state recognized by the entire world. So how is it that Israel gets the right to exist, but Palestine, which preceded it, does not? And why isn't that on the mouths and tongues of everybody that keeps talking about Israel has the right to exist? I am not saying Israel does not have a right to exist. I'm saying, sure, she does. But justice would say that if we look at the situation and look at what led up to the creation of the state of Israel, the proper and just thing to do is to go to Germany. You know how parts of Germany was given to Russia and parts of Germany was given to Poland? Why is it hard to give a portion of that to the people who were brutalized by Germany? Why must the Palestinian bear the sole responsibility of that? That's what I'm asking. The Germans don't bear the responsibility of their actions in Auschwitz and all of these, the using the gas chamber and the experimenting on them. But we're telling the world, in front of the entire world, we're saying that the Palestinians must bear the brunt of this when they had nothing to do with that. You can give land under duress to Russia, which is the Kaliningrad state. You can give portions of Germany to Poland, but you can't give it to the people whom you wronged. But you are forcing those people whom you wrong on the back of another people who must bear the brunt and the responsibility of your wicked actions. How is that just? I'm asking. How is that just? And why won't we use common sense when we're talking about these things? Why everybody get in their feelings? Why are you, for me pointing out the obvious and we're going down a common sense path, why must I be anti this or anti that? How come I can't just be anti lies and anti exploitation and pro truth? Whenever you speak an inconvenient truth, you become anti that. Man, I'll wear that jacket though. I'll wear it. I'll wear it. Yeah. It'll be a size large because that's what I wear, size large. Okay. It'll be a size large. So if you're going to get me that jacket, make sure it's a size large. My guy, Serious Biz, is in the building. Shout out. All right. I see him in the building now. So, again, let's read a little bit more of this. Do you understand? Nobody is talking about this. What I'm saying is we're dissecting their own words. I'm not responsible for what someone else says. I'm just calling out the people who say the things. And I'm asking logical, rational, legitimate questions. And maybe by doing that, it will lead to a lasting peace. Okay? Listen to this. Lavrov spoke to the media in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, after meeting his counterparts from the Commonwealth of Independent States, a regional intergovernmental organization composed of former parts of the Soviet Union. All of us had the same opinion, that this confrontation must be stopped immediately, that parties should respect international humanitarian law, prevent any terrorist actions and indiscriminate use of force, Lavrov said. Now, when we look at that statement, most Western people immediately say that they're referring to Hamas must stop terrorist actions and the indiscriminate use of force against civilians. Now, I want to remind you all, and I want you to understand that I do not advocate the killing of anybody outside of justice, okay? So now, with that said, and remember that the loss of any life is tragic because life is precious. And I think more people should learn to respect life. But how in the world can the Western world say something when that's all they have a history of is taking life? But let's look at this. They think this is referring to Hamas. But again, what's more terrorist and what's more of an act of terrorist than to encapsulate a population in Gaza of 4 to 5 million people, 3 to 4 million people in a 20 by 5 or 20 by 10 area of land and gate it off and let it have no access to the sea, and then regulate anything that comes in and goes out, allow them no hope for building a future. What's more terroristic than that? Now, let's look at another part of that statement he said. That this confrontation must be stopped immediately. That parties should respect international humanitarian law. All right. Now, I was listening to one geopolitical analyst, and he said he kept harping and going back to the killing of Israeli civilians, right? And the way they were killed. And I'm not advocating in any way that anybody should be killed, be they Israeli, Palestinian, black, white, brown, red, purple, green, yellow, alien, or whatever. But we must analyze the situation. Okay? The Palestinians have been going through this exact thing every day. Every day. Nobody said that those were heinous crimes. The very advocates that are speaking today about the criminality of what Hamas did, they didn't utter a word October 6th when the Israelis shot and killed children and put them in jail. As a matter of fact, what about today? They hadn't ushered a word or uttered a word about the Israelis fired into a crowd of protesters who in the West Bank. This has nothing to do with the Gaza. This was in the West Bank. They fired into the crowd and killed 11 people for protesting. And Kirby didn't cry about that. The Western media didn't condemn that. France didn't put the Palestinian flag on the Eiffel Tower. The European Commission did not illuminate the buildings with the Palestinian flags. How can this be justly settled when the people who are trying to bring about a cessation of violence are unjust in themselves? I'm asking. Flying Crocodile. I'm gonna get you in just a second. All right. I'm gonna go back to Medi too in just a second. Oh yeah, Mr. Carter. Oh, I missed you, Mr. Carter. Oh yeah. I'm gonna come back to you too. I missed a whole bunch of people. This thing keeps going up and jumping, and I'm sorry if I don't get to your comments. Please forgive me. This thing keeps jumping on my dashboard. I'm scrolling back up, seeing all these comments I missed. But anyway, now, why do you scream and cry and moan and your lips shiver and your body shiver and you can't make a rational comment for a minute because of the loss of life of Israelis? But yet you comment and you act as though the lives of Palestinians and other people, the Syrians, the Iraqis, the black people here in America, the brown people, the poor white people, the yellow people, like their lives are insignificant and don't matter. You're willing to take money, billions, to give to a state that you helped create and that you continue to arm and you continue to give cover as it oppresses and suppresses 6 million people over there. And you ignore the pleas and cries at home from black, brown, red, yellow, poor white people who are saying, help me get a job, help me pay my bills, help me pull myself up from the bootstrap. I don't need a handout. I need help so that I can do this on my own. If you just give me the wherewithal to do it, I can do it. Where's your compassion for that? Man, I'm telling you, I tell you what. But you always can find money for war in Ukraine. You can fund many appropriation bills for Ukraine to make war against Russia. You can fund many bills for Israel too. And remember that these oppressive tactics, the bombing of the Gazan buildings with civilians in it, this is courtesy of the U.S. and the UK. These are their bombs, their warplanes. Their money is funding this. Okay? So they are not some nations that are they're benevolent and trying to bring about a cessation of violence. Man, stop this. And since you can find land for Israel, I want you to understand something. Since you can take an entire people from Germany and you and some of the people from Russia and you can take all and you can plant them in a foreign land. How about you live up to your agreement and give everybody who came up from slavery 40 acres and a mule? Because you're still in debt for that. You never gave that. No agreement have you lived up to. And we're supposed to believe you. Now, let's go to something. Medi says, man, I'm telling you what. I got my I had went to the dentist and they gave me some kind of guard to put in on my mouth so that I won't grind my teeth at night sometimes. And that little piece of plastic, this big, cost $1,200. I think it was $1,200 if I'm not mistaken. Nicole, was it $1,200? Something like that, $1,200 for a piece of plastic. If I would have known it was a piece of plastic, man, I wouldn't have never paid that. But anyway, let's go here. Medi says, let's put Medi up here real quick. I believe that most of the UN wants this to stop for good. A two-state solution is the only way right now I can think of. I think that is what the UN has stated. Yeah, well, at first, if we go back to history, it was never about a two-state solution. It was about returning the land to Palestine. But over the years, it turned into a two-state solution, right? But here's the problem here. Israel will never allow that willingly. I'm going to tell you why, Medi. Because Israel population continues to sink. And the Palestinian population continues to grow. And the Israelis have even written papers about this, saying that if they agreed to a two-state solution, within a matter of decades, Israel will cease to exist because of the population explosion of the Palestinians. And they know that. So it would, if we go by just doing a two-state solution, then within a matter of 2-3 decades, all of it would revert back to Palestine anyhow, right? And that's what they hate. That's why you see the brutality, the viciousness of all of this. This is something that the West does not talk about. The population decline of Western nations, of Europe, of America, of Israel, is something that most people, the average person, don't know about. Okay? So if they were to agree to a two-state solution within 30 years, tops, the population of the Palestinians would be such an advantage over the Israelis that they would be hard pressed to keep the land that they occupy. You understand? So yeah, Lavrov, as he talks about, and I see what you're saying, you want a cessation to the violence. I know where you're going. That's right. Nobody wants the loss of life, Medi. Nobody. I understand where you're coming from. I was just giving it to you like that. You are, you want this violence to stop, and anybody in their right mind does not want the loss of life. All right. So hey, we got about, I see on this screen it says about 70. On one chat it says 68. Let's go into my chat and see what it says. We have about 70 people in the stream. On my private chat is saying it, my private dashboard. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and like. Hey, even if what I'm saying to you is not your cup of tea, even if what I'm saying to you may provoke anger or may provoke strong feelings or whatever, let's be men and women. Let's stop doing this gender neutral stuff, and let's stop being neutral on matters that are of the greatest importance. If we disagree, let us be agreeable to disagree, and let us thereafter have educated and productive conversations thereafter. Let us not go away from here mad with each other and this and that, because all of us can learn from each other. Okay, now let's go. Serious Biz says, yes sir, salute to you too, Serious Biz. Now let's go down to Flying Crocodile says, Lavrov has been one of my favorites, along with Putin and Z, since he outplayed the West circa 2011 over Syria's chemical weapons stockpile and de-escalated their direct intervention attack plans. You know what? Again, well, I wouldn't put Z in there because and Putin in there because they're those two are presidents of a nation. When we're talking about foreign diplomats, I think the South African female president, foreign minister, I think she is absolutely on par with Lavrov. I think Lavrov is the best, if not one of the best, 3 foreign ministers or diplomats on the planet. And then I think that Wang Yi is just as good as either one of them. Wang Yi is brilliant. He's magnificent. So the Chinese have a beautiful diplomatic corps also. You have the South Africans, the Russians, and the Chinese. I think they have the best diplomatic corps out there right now. And then you have others that come behind that. But right now, I think those 3 are the top tier diplomatic corps of any nations out there. That's my personal opinion. Now, let's see. Flying Crocodile says, yep, Mehdi, that was in the UN statement. Well, I talked about all of that in the UN. Yeah, you can go back on the shows, not yesterday, day before yesterday, not the show from yesterday, even though I talked about this stuff, but I actually put the UN resolution up on the screen and we dissected it. And we showed that without the implementing of one of the 2 main principles that was demanded, there would not be any peace, because they said for peace to be had, Israel would have to remove all IDF forces from occupied territory. Now, I want to ask you something. This was a 1967 resolution, right? Did Israel pull out of Syrian territory, the Golan Heights? Nope. Have they pulled out of the Sheba Farms or the Sheba Farms? Nope. Right? Are they still bombing Syria? Yes, they just bombed 2 airports, right? And have they pulled out of the occupied, what nowadays they call the occupied territories in Palestine? No. So how, if this is the case and they refuse to do it in the UN, and that's the United States, France, Russia, the UK, and China all agreed to this in 1967. And if they have not done it since 1967, how can you expect peace when they told you what the roadmap for peace was? The precondition for doing number 2, you had to fulfill number 1. For the IDF to pull out of all occupied territories. Go look at it. So if they have not pulled out and refused to pull out, and we see the explosion of violence in reality, according to the UN resolution, who's at fault? Forget your feelings for a minute. If the UN resolution spells out that you can't have peace or lasting peace without this step taking place first. If that step was never even walked, if they never put their foot up on that step, and we see violence exploding across occupied Palestine, then in reality, who's at fault? I'm asking you to reason. Let's reason. Because that's a UN mandate. Oh man, I tell you. Hold on one second. Let me see something. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can pull some up real quick, because I remove. Is that it? All right. Yeah, I believe this is it. All right. All right. No, I don't want to download that. I don't want to download that. Let's see if I can pull it up. Oh, yeah, without even having to download it. Oh, yeah. We're going back to this again to show you, to prove my point, okay? We're getting ready to take this off the screen. We're getting ready to put up that resolution, okay? Again, to prove my point. Because I know a lot of people are from Missouri, the show me state. So I like to show you, I like to come prepared so that we don't have any hostility toward us. Because if I can prove to you what I'm saying, even if you don't like what I'm saying, you can't say that I'm lying or I'm biased. If you believe that I'm biased, then you're saying that the truth is biased. Because I didn't make this stuff up. I didn't pass those resolutions. Okay? So just listen. Let's go here. Let me pull this up on the screen. Give me a second. Is that it? Let's see if this is it. This is it. Now, is it on your screen yet? Is it on your screen? Yes, it's on your screen. Look right here. Okay? And let me see if I can make this a little bigger. I do not want any problems. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if we can make it 100. All right. We'll put that 150. All right. All right. This is 150 resolution. So let me see how it looks on my screen to you all. That should be better for you guys right here. Okay? Now let's read this first part together. We don't need to read the second part. We don't need to read the third part. All we need to read is the first part, because without the implementation of the first part, you can't get to the second or the third part. Okay? What does that say? Resolution 242, 1967. Now, who are the United Nations Security Council members? The United States, Russia, China, the UK, and France. So for this to become a resolution, guess who had to vote for it? Huh? For this to become international law, guess who had to vote for it? Those 5 permanent members. Okay? So now let's look at this. Of the 22nd of November, 1967, the Security Council, expressing its continuing concern with the grave situation in the Middle East. So they knew that the situation had become critical. It was grave back then. So it just didn't start being grave now. It was grave back then. So they were trying to head off an explosion of violence. Okay? So it says, emphasizing the inadmissibility. Man, I'm telling you, hold on one second. Hold on. Let's go here real quick. Yes. All right. Let's go to the word inadmissible. Inadmissible means it's an adjective, especially of evidence in court not accepted as valid, not allowable, invalid, not acceptable, unacceptable, unallowable. So first of all, let's look at this word inadmissible. Okay? Emphasizing. So they're putting off on it. They're trying to direct you to something. When you emphasize something, you want it to stand out over everything else that is not emphasized. That's why sometimes you have things in italics. That's why you have things in bold letters or bold words or bold coloring, because you want it to stand out from the rest of the sentence, the statement, or the structure of the paragraph. Is that not right? So it says emphasizing the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war. So listen, stop right there. How did Israel come by the Golan? By war. How did it come by the Sheba Falls? By war. How did it come by the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Negev Desert? Because that was under Palestinian rule. How did it come by that? Through war, through conquest, through war. Listen to this statement right here. Emphasizing, meaning putting the spotlight on the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war and the need to work for a just and lasting peace in which every state in the area can live in security. So now it's telling you that you cannot take land by war or territory by war if you are looking for lasting peace, which every state in the area can live in peace and security. Listen what it goes on to say here. I want you to understand something. Man, I'm not nobody's dummy. Nobody's dummy. I can read very well, and I have very good comprehension skills. Okay? I just look like this. It says, emphasizing. Look at that again. You see that? Emphasizing. They used it at the paragraph above and the paragraph now. Emphasizing meaning putting the spotlight on. Further, that all member states in their acceptance of the charter, the United States, France, the UK, China, the US, Palestine, and Israel, right? These nations especially and specifically, emphasizing further that all member states in their acceptance of the charter of the UN, the United Nations, have undertaken a commitment. You know what commitment means? To be dedicated to try to honor, right? To act in accordance with Article 2 of the charter. Number 1. See, we don't have to look at number 2, number 3, or number 4, because number 1 wasn't implemented. For the lasting peace to happen, guess what has to happen? Number 1 affirms that the fulfillment of charter principles requires the establishment of a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, which should include, listen to this, the application of both the following principles: withdrawal of Israeli armed forces from territories occupied in recent conflicts. So listen, that is the first stipulation to peace, according to the resolution that everybody keeps pointing to. But everybody wants to ignore the first stipulation to peace in that resolution. There can, according to the writings that we just read, there can be no comprehensive peace without that step being taken. The withdrawal of Israeli armed forces from occupied territories, right? Right? In the recent conflict, right? Without that, everything else is uncivilized, right? All right? So, listen what it says. Termination of all claims or states of belligerency and respect for and acknowledgement of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence of every state in the area and their right to live in peace within secure and recognized boundaries, free from threats or acts of force. Stop right there. Does the Palestinian enjoy that right? Do they have territorial integrity? Do they have national sovereignty? Do they control the waters of Gaza? Huh? Are they allowed to live in peace in those territories that they were forced to in, like Gaza? Are they secure from the belligerent acts of an occupier? If that is not the case, we're looking at, listen to me good. Everybody needs to stop thinking about what the news is talking about and read the resolutions yourself. Because if you don't read them yourself, they can mislead you. The prerequisite for peace, the prerequisite for the recognition of Israel is the removal of Israeli armed forces off all occupied territory and all territory that was taken by war. Has Israel made any effort to extricate herself from occupied territories? Huh? And if she has not, then how the hell can you expect peace when that is the prerequisite for the peace? And when we look at the situation that is unfolding in the Middle East, how can you blame Hamas? How can you blame Hezbollah when we have the formula written by the United States, the UK, France, Russia, and China right before our very eyes? Huh? I'm asking. Man, I tell you what, I know people get mad, but it is. And Ned Rundle says, Hit that like button, fam. That's right. Let me put that up there real quick. Let me put that up there. Let's see. Let's go to Mr. Carter. He says, and this is a Marine. So I prioritize the armed services, okay, on here. So Mr. Carter says, I've been a Marine for 22 years and have 17 combat deployments. Good Lord. I'm good at my job and do it well. Was all over the country and corps. Imagine having time on your hands after retiring only to educate myself. Hey, education don't stop. As long as you keep breathing, hey, we all are learning every day. And it's a blessing to be able to learn, because motion is life. The problem is, once we stop moving, that's death. So we want to be in motion to learn, okay? We want that. Let's see. Majid says they want Iran, World War III. Everybody knows that. What did Dick Cheney say? Anybody can go to Baghdad. Real men go to Tehran, right? All right. I'm not gonna put Medi's talking to Flying Crocodile, so I don't want to interrupt their conversation. Let's see. Go put another one up here. Only to find out that we were the bad guys. All the democracy and freedoms that was supposed to be brought to others, we don't have here. Boom, mic drop moment. Hey, Mr. Carter, mic drop moment. You said it well, buddy. All right. So let's see. Let me put Medi's up here. Medi says, if they are in their own country, where does Israel need to be concerned? If Palestine is a state without any intention of taking Israel, why does the population growth matter? Just thinking. Because look, they went down this road. In the so-called negotiations under Bill Clinton, where they were saying that they were trying to make a Palestinian state. Here's the thing, that the Palestinians will only be a state in name. The territories would not have a connecting point, so Israel would be able to still put pressure and like control policy directives, and the Palestinian police force would report directly to the Israeli IDF, and Palestine was not going to be allowed to have its own standing army, right? Because Israel felt that any powerful militia or any powerful armed military or any powerful police force would be a threat to Israel. And that's their mind state. Everybody, see, let me tell you something. Have you ever been around a person that every time you see them, they're telling you about something somebody did to them? They go from job to job, and when they get to that job, they say, oh, this job is good. And before you know it, oh man, the boss is doing this. They're doing that. And then they go to the next job and that's the same story. And then they go to the next job and that's the same story. And the next job is because they've done so much dirt. They believe that everybody else want to do that same dirt to them. And they're not willing to take the chance, because what they do, they judge other people by their actions and by what they would do and how they would treat other people. So that's what's going on. You know? This is regional war in the making. The United States, the UK, all of them have deployed there. And while they've deployed across the Middle East, France, Canada, Germany, I think Italy, the United States, and the UK are moving across the Sahel. Remember, they're under tremendous economic strain in Europe and the United States. But they got millions of dollars to move across the Sahel, to have war games, to do training, and to also have war games and terrorist operations. That costs tens of millions and billions of dollars. So that means something is afoot. Okay? Now let's look further. Serious Biz, I'm with you 100% on this one. Yes, pound that like for realness. Pound that like button, please. All right? I'll say it again. Flying Crocodile says, I'll say it again. Jewish refugees went to Palestine and had nothing except the clothes they wore, asking for and accepting the generosity of the inhabitants before taking their own homes, freedom, and land. That's what I said. That's what you said. That's what Scott Ritter said. And that's what history says. But the propaganda machine continues to omit these realities because it does not line up with their agenda. It does not line up with their policies. So they have to weed out those who are telling the truth. That's why they take me out the search engine. That's why every time I get 50, 80 subscribers, when I go back the next day, they've taken 90% of the subscribers that I got. Every time they hit the like button, if 3 people hit the like button later on, 2 of the likes disappear. I've gotten emails about this left and right. They have to do this to frustrate those who are telling the truth, because they fear that this might incite a movement of truth. This is what it is. So let's see. Netrunner says, one day we'll do a show about this right here. I have deep disagreement with Modi, but Foreign Minister Jaishankar of India is fire. Yeah, he is. He is. I have disagreement with Modi too, but India has a good foreign minister. He is. He is. I won't take anything away from him. He is. But on the level of a Yi, or level of a Lavrov, or of the South African foreign minister, there's tiers to this. There's, like they say in fighting and in MMA and in boxing, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Carter says, the actual real Jewish people are against all of the actions of Israel. They say it all goes against everything in Judaism. Well, one day we're going to talk on this matter right here, okay? Because I want to touch on it. And when I do it, maybe we'll do it on Rumble, because I don't know about YouTube, you know. I don't know about YouTube. YouTube, my football put my behind off there. Let's see. Mehdi says, there's no doubt the Palestinians have been screwed over. I was pro-Israel for years. I bought the BS. See what I'm saying? But when truth, listen, if you are decent and if you have honesty within you, when truth comes, I don't care what your position has been on it. Truth should stand, and truth should be the beacon and the standard of greatness. Each time, and you should put aside your biases. You should put aside your thoughts and your beliefs for truth. Because in the end, that's the only thing that's going to stand. All right, let's go. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll down a little bit. It's jumping. This thing is jumping super fast. Man, this thing is going. Whoa, I can't get. I'm gonna go back in here. Let me see if I can grab a few more. This thing is jumping on my hand. But think about that. We're looking at the resolution. So I didn't make anything up. I got the resolution on the screen. And at the beginning of it, I want you to understand, this is why I go into definition of words, so that nobody can use wordplay on you. Nobody can come and say, well, they meant such and such. No, you know what it means because we just brought the definition up. All right? So, and it was something to what they were trying to get you to understand, because in 2 paragraphs back to back, they say emphasizing. So they're trying to draw your attention to something of the utmost importance in those 2 paragraphs. And it says emphasizing the inadmissibility. What is inadmissibility? According to the dictionary, inadmissible, especially of evidence in court, not accepted as valid. So right there, we know that the position of Israel is not valid, because she did not pull her troops as agreed to out of the occupied territories. That was the stipulation. And without honoring that stipulation, all other things fall through. What if you're buying a house and you come to an agreement with the mortgage company? Hey, I'm going to pay $1,500 a month for this. My insurance on this is $150, blah, blah, blah. So this is $1,650. It is due by the 5th of every month. Now you get in your house, right? And you say, oh, I have a beautiful house. And then you get mad with your mortgage company and say, you know what? The hell with them. I'm in here now. I'm not going to honor the agreement I signed. All of the thickness of those papers that you signed to get the house. I'm not. Where will you end up at? On the streets? Because you have negated and nullified the agreement that we both agreed to. You've nullified the contract, right? So if this is international law that they agreed to and Israel refused to enact, what did they do? They nullified the recognition of Israel. They nullified the nations willingly accepting Israel in the Middle East, right? And they nullified the security that those things would have brought, the peace and the security. It's right there in the writings. So Palestinians didn't do that. Hamas didn't do that. Hezbollah didn't do that. Syria didn't do that. Egypt didn't do that. Russia didn't do it. Israel refused to remove the IDF, the armed forces, out of those territories. So if they refuse to do what they agreed upon, then they are in breach of contract. So they are responsible for all of the ramifications of the breach of contract. Is that not right? Is that not right? Am I making anything up? Look on it. Look up there and see if I'm making anything up. See if I'm adding my 2 cents to it. Read it for yourself. I won't even say nothing for a minute. I want you to read it for yourself and tell me if I'm making anything up or adding my own spin to it. I'm giving you a time to read it for yourself so you can do it. Do your own thinking. Now, we've gone that far. Now, Flying Crocodile said, it is a real eye opener. I know when you get a chance to look at it for yourself, forget the news, forget the channels, forget the government, forget all the propaganda. You sit down and you read that resolution for yourself. And you use common sense. It's an eye opener for real. I know it. I know it. Listen, guys, thank you all for joining me on the most powerful platform of truth, bar none, anywhere on the face of God's green earth. I love each and every one of y'all. If you guys choose to support me, you get one of the main things to support me is go to all of the platforms. Go to Odyssey, go to Locals, and it's the empowermentoftruth.locals.com. Go to Twitter, go to Twitch, go to Rumble, and also the Red Pill Journals and the Red Pill Diaries. Sign up, subscribe, like, comment, share. If you like to donate, you can donate to, man, I hate doing this, to the super chat or the super thanks, or you can become a channel member or a patron. As a matter of fact, we dropped a fire article on Patreon today, on Patreon, a fire article. Let me see if I pull up the name of that article. Let me see. Hold on one second. Patreon. And it has a lot of links in the article too to prove what we're saying. The article is titled, man, come on. It's titled, looks like this time the Palestinian-Israeli conflict will go regional, courtesy of the U.S. and the UK. That's a fire article. I'm telling you, it's a fire article that you all need to look at. Let me see something real quick before I go. Hold on one second. Let me put this up real quick. I have to do this because I have people that ask me to put this up. It's not that I want to, but people email me, you know, and you can reach me if you have a personal question at HIRAM 1555 at yahoo.com. That's Hiram 1555 at yahoo.com. Or you can hit me up on Twitter over there. And when I go and check the Twitter, I'll look at the messages, and then I'm learning this stuff. So you guys bear with me, okay? Let me put this up real quick. But this is only going to be up for a second now. I'm not keeping this up because I don't do this a lot. Let me give it about a minute and I'll talk to you all while this is up. Let's see. I'm looking in the chat right now. Let's see. He who holds the bigger stick can write history. Have a good night, gents. You have a good night too, Mr. Carter. And Holly, shout out to Holly. She's back in the building. Thank you for joining me. Listen, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, I didn't even know I had that up there. My son put that up there. I made the mistake and hit that up there. But anyway, we're going to go out the same way that we always come in, with love in my heart for each and every one of you who love truth. Share this, but know that the love that God has for you will always exceed the love in my heart that I have for you. On that note, hey, everybody, stay true, keep loving your heart, and be righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Everybody, I love you and thank you for joining me and giving me your time. Deuces, everybody. We're out.